overseas to figuring out, and I've used this a lot when I used to live in San Francisco. I'd smell smoke on my window and I want to figure out what's happening. The TV news isn't covering anything. I type San Francisco fire, and chances are someone's already tweeting about it, posting a video, and posting pictures. And so I know exactly what's going on. So it's the easiest way to figure out real-time information about what's happening in the world. It is very timely because the way that we relate to the world and that we consume information has changed. Right? We now have these little things in our pockets that connect us to the entirety of human knowledge and history. Like, I can tweet at the President of the United States. I can go on Facebook or Twitter and get information about something that's happening across the world. I can find out what's happening in a soccer game in England the same way I can find out what's happening in a protest in Egypt. And I can do that all instantaneously. But moreover, what this little thing has done for us is that it has basically become our window to the world. The average person unlocks their phone 150 times a day. That is insane. I don't think I do anything 150 times a day. I still push back on that, but I have a lot of smarter people that deal with data tell me that's true. And what that said, that's changed how we consume not just the information, but events. When I do talks, I show a couple pictures. And the first picture I show is a side-by-side of the papal conclave in 2005 and the papal conclave in 2013. 2005, when they're waiting for the white smoke to announce Pope Benedict, it's a whole group of people taken from St. Peter's Square looking at the basilica. And the picture pretty much is this, right? Thousands of people looking at the basilica. 2013, same picture, same spot, same event for Pope Francis. The picture's this. It's amazing. And that was just a few years later. In 2016, I found this great picture of Hillary Clinton at a campaign event. Right? She was arguably the most recognizable woman, if not person, on the planet. And it's a small gathering. She's kind of on a box, and there's a little bit of a crowd. It's taken from the side. There is not one person looking at her. Not one. There's about 100 people. They all have their back to her because they want to take a selfie. Right? You have someone who's applying to be the President of the United States. You are there because you are her supporter. You are there ostensibly because you want to hear what she has to say, but you're not looking at her. You're looking at her through your phone. Right? That is a dramatic change on how we consume information. And so Twitter and, by and large, also Facebook and the other various social media platforms give you the ability to experience these things sometimes in real time. Are you periscoping or Facebook Live?
Facebook Live.
Sorry. I'll let you have that. But right now, this is being broadcast. Basically, anyone in the world can watch this, right? And for everyone who is in the world watching this, I'm very sorry. So, we have changed how we interact with each other. It has changed the way we consume media, and it changes how we do things like marketing and political messaging. Traditional marketing goes to demographics, right? You want to sell to married women over 35 or college-age males 18 to 25. That doesn't exist anymore. We no longer message around demographics. We message around target moments. We don't have target brands. We have target events. So when you look at the most successful messaging, whether it's commercial or political, it's all around identifying with that moment and joining in the conversation. A couple examples. Does anybody here remember the white and gold, blue and black dress thing that happened? Right? Someone posted a dress on Twitter, and it was this white and gold dress that half the people inexplicably said looked blue and black, and half said looked white and gold. And it was about 3 hours of the most insane conversation you'll ever see. Right? That took the internet by storm. Salvation Army did an amazing domestic violence around that. They put a woman who was bruised in a white and gold dress and said, it's amazing how hard it is for people to see black and blue. Think about that. Like, that was timely, targeted, and it galvanized people around an issue that a lot of people just want to ignore. And that's the type of messaging that's changing our world. You see this in campaigns. You see this in marketing. Anybody watch the World Cup? Remember when Suarez bit the guy? Right. So Snickers had a great campaign where they said, hey, next time you're hungry, and they tweeted at him like 100 pictures of a Snickers bar. Right? It's funny, it's interesting, but that's how we're communicating nowadays. It's not just about reaching the kids. That's how we consume media. It's been a subtle shift. But next time you're looking on social media or you're looking on television and you're looking at marketing campaigns, ask yourself, are they trying to target me, who I am, or are they trying to target the moment? And now, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be about targeting the moment. And so what that means is that messaging has become more ephemeral. A tweet lasts about 15 minutes, and then it still exists somewhere in the Twitter sphere, but by and large, your attention has moved on. And then, to the nth degree, you have platforms like Snapchat, where your message will go away, and even Periscope. Your message, your video will go away in a day. And what that's done, it's in a way freed people to be a little bit more loose with how they talk and how they communicate with each other, for good and for bad. Right? I talk to politicians a lot about how to message and say, look, the best way to do this on social media is understand, like, you don't have to have, crafted, poll-tested, data-driven conversations. Just be yourself. And if you say something kind of dumb, in 15 minutes, no one's going to remember it anyway. So come back, you can come back later. We have now valued this presence of real-time authenticity. And if you can be authentic in real time, but also be really smart and poignant, you can be really successful. By and large, this is really, I've worked in politics for the last 9 years, so I can sit and talk for half hour about pretty much anything in the world, but that's not going to be as interesting. So I really just want to take your questions about Twitter, social media, technology, anything. Miss?
Sorry, you explained about Twitter, but I'm not sure everyone knows what Snapchat is either.
Yeah, that's a good point. So Snapchat is it's a message service, basically a picture messaging service, where you can take a picture or a video and send it to your friends. Think of it as like a text message, but with images. They watch it, and then it goes away. And it gets deleted after you watch it. Right? So before, when you think in terms of political messaging, think of the implication of that. Right? You, when you want to create a video for your constituents, or you want to create a video for your customers, right? You think, oh God, I'm going to rehearse this stupid thing. I'm going to run the lines. I'm going to make sure I look good. And the lighting's got to be right, or it's got to be perfect, because that video is going to live forever. Well, now it's not true, right? So when you think of it in terms of just marketing or talking to customers, like, you can now have real-time conversations with your customers about what you're doing, and the bar for quality and production is a lot lower. Like, people are a lot more casual with how they communicate and how they consume. And so the successful businesses and the successful politicians and the successful political activists understand that, and they're able to capitalize on that. And this is starting to happen with Facebook Live. These videos don't necessarily last forever. Right? And so we have now released, we've taken the chains off, so to speak, in terms of what we want to say, and the key now is, how do we do this responsibly, right? So, first of all, anytime anyone comes and says, oh, I'm a social media expert, I immediately end the conversation. Okay? It's totally is. Social media is a 15-year phenomenon, right? Nobody's an expert. I work at Twitter. I still have no idea what the heck we're doing. Right? And that's true, because it's all experimental and it's all ephemeral. And by the time you've figured it out, it's changed. Right? And so, but that lends to the concept of it being real time. Right? Reality changes. Public consciousness changes. Your relationship to your customers change. Your public image constantly changes. So you have to be fluid with it. It presents a lot of challenges, both in the public and private sector. But I think it also democratizes information in a way that we've never seen before. Like, we would have never known about the near revolution in Iran in 2009. We would have never known about the uprisings in Hong Kong in 2012. Like, we would have never known about the Arab Spring other than news coverage, had we not had the ability to reach directly down onto the ground and see what was happening. And that's really powerful. Sir.
Looking at the trends, it seems like a lot of the communications are going towards, shorter actual usage of words and more pictures, more video. What are you guys looking at Twitter as far as like watching that evolution, and what are you seeing, from interaction from your users?
Yeah, I mean, video. Video is, video was always this thing that you did, but it was really hard. Now, especially with ephemeral video and with live video, as you are doing right now, it's becoming easier. And so what we're seeing is that people's behavior, you're becoming more comfortable doing more things in the media, right? And so as a company, we are investing in quicker live video. Now we have a company called Periscope that allows you to create, basically it's a mobile television studio, right? I can doing what he's doing right now. He's broadcasting live TV from his phone, and then it's going to go away, right? So Periscope, you can do that directly in Twitter. And what we're seeing is we're seeing politicians use that for their town halls, for messaging if they want to talk, if they're walking down the street and have a thought that they want to share with their constituents. You have companies and brands, covering their trade show, or otherwise they would have to pay thousands of dollars for a video crew to do it, when in reality, nobody's going to watch the video of your trade show after the trade show is over. It's like your wedding video. Like, when was the last time you watched that? No. You can Periscope, you can do it, you can be really high quality, and you can reach the audience you want to reach at the time you want to reach it, and then you don't have to store this thing. And so Twitter is making a lot of infrastructure investments into live video, as are all of our sister companies, because it's not just a lack of attention span, it's just a change in the way we're communicating, and that people are more comfortable doing a 5-10 second video than they were in the past. Sir, you have one?
Yes. 2 questions.
Sure.
One, back to Snapchat.
Yeah.
It has a short shelf life.
Mm-hmm.
Does that start from the moment the person generating the outbound Snapchat? Is that a shelf life from that person's perspective, or is it a shelf life from the time you open it?
So both. And I might get this wrong, but because I'm not huge into Snapchat.
Okay.
But when you record the video, you can tell it how long. So you can have that video live in someone's inbox for an hour or a day. So you can put a timer on it where it goes away, or it could sit there until they watch it. And then when they watch it, it usually exists for about 24 hours. You usually can do maybe 1 or 2 replays of it.
Okay.
I do it for my niece, who's a year and a half years old. And my sister posts a Snapchat of my niece every single day, right?
Wow.
Now, if I kept all those videos, my phone would be unusable because I have gigabytes of, 30-second videos for my niece, but I get to watch it every day, and then it goes away, and then I get to see, and then I go see her. It's wonderful.
So here's the Twitter
Oh,
question.
sorry. Next question. Go.
What is Twitter as a company doing? Do they have a position about Trump tweeting? And do you have an attitude about it at all?
It's about 10 minutes till we got the Trump question. That's awesome. Look, it's complicated. I think that Twitter has the ability to democratize information in a way that the founders could have only dreamed in their quietest moments, right? It's really, like, anyone in this room could tweet the President of the United States, and it's entirely possible that he might tweet back at you. You might not like what he has to say back at you. But that is immensely powerful.
Yes.
And every single member of Congress is on Twitter. 80% of world leaders are active on Twitter. So that type of real-time conversation with power unlocks the keys to democracy. I think a lot of people would probably prefer Trump, or President Trump was a little more cautious and disciplined with what he was saying. But that's the thing about freedom of expression, right? You don't get to just hear the people you like to hear. You hear everything, and you can't have. It doesn't matter. You can't have people being free on your side of the aisle if the people on the other side aren't. And so with President Trump, we are very protective of his ability to do that. And now, his tone can be a problem, and he has yet to violate our terms of service, and that's going to be a hard conversation. And I'm hoping that he never does. Yes.
You were saying about how it goes away on Snapchat. At least this is what I've heard. I don't know if it's true. The Hey Siri feature on the iPhone, anything you say is sent to Apple headquarters. Is that true? So my question is when you send a Snapchat and it goes away, does go away really mean just for that person, and then anything you send is sent to the Snapchat database? So
but
you recover it?
No, it's deleted. the way Snapchat works, and this is just a function of practicality, like it'll go away after about 24 hours. And the practical nature of that is that they just don't have, I mean, it's a small company, they don't have the money to, the server farms they would have to keep that stuff is insane. And the way Siri works, and I don't work at Apple, so forgive me if I'm a little fuzzy on this one, it goes to the Apple database to retrieve the information, but how long it stays in the Apple database is really more of a technical function. It's like when you delete a tweet on Twitter, it goes away permanently. Now, technically, it possibly could linger for 2 or 3 days in the cycle of the system as the process happens, but by and large, once it's gone, it's gone. And part of that is the trust we have with our users, and as Snapchat has with their users, and Apple as well. But part of that's also just a practical concern, because like if you're saving all this stuff, you're going to run into a data apocalypse real quick. Yeah. Hold on, there's.
Can I address that though?
Oh,
because that's
okay,
one of our
sorry.
students, and I want to make sure that this is a clear piece. In my work, so I oversee career tech for the Heart District, and in working with a lot of folks from the FBI and so forth who have recruited from universities that I've taught for as well as elsewhere, a lot of that internet data is indeed stored by the government. So please, students, be very careful with what you're snapping and tweeting and doing otherwise with, because frankly, I've had students that have not been able to get the jobs that they applied for because of what they put out there. So I wanted to make sure that we address that piece.
Yeah, no.
Snapchat might not keep it, but the government does.
Well, no, and actually, this is actually a very good lesson to younger people going into the workforce who have grown up in social media, right? Twitter, Facebook, the traditional social messaging services, you have a timeline, right? You can go back and see stuff that I posted on Facebook in 2006, right? So be responsible with what you're doing. The ephemeral stuff, stuff that does get deleted, no longer. That used to be the case with, I believe, Facebook and a couple of the other, where they did have NSA surveillance programs. Twitter never did. You basically told the NSA what to go do with themselves when they asked. And this is one thing the Snowden revelations really pointed out, was that there were, mostly through telcos and ISPs, right? So most of that data was being sucked up from AT&T and Verizon and Comcast. And it was less about what you're posting online and more about your metadata. That program has been largely discontinued, and they're actually talking about it right now with 702 reform in Congress. But yeah, I mean, that's also just sort of basic good messaging, right? If you want to be a public official, don't go on TV and sound like a jerk, you know? Sir?
So you talked about how Twitter is almost a daily working virus as far as what it's concerned. And then you make some mention to its democratizing effects, but don't learn privilege. What worries you about it? What worries you about
Repeat the question.
rapid messaging, click messaging, disposable messages, and where do you think that takes us as a society in terms of our understanding about government, about country, policy making?
Yeah, I think...
I get the LA Times. I grew up with the LA Times in LA. I don't know if you guys do. It's napkin size now.
Yeah.
I know I can read it online. There's been an evolution also to stories getting shorter. The rest of that. Please go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I mean, well, one, so in terms of society information, the nature of media has changed, right? Like, I subscribe to 3 newspapers. I don't get any of them delivered. I have them all on my phone, right? And I read them all through. Twitter is largely sort of replaced my newspaper. It doesn't mean that content doesn't exist. It just exists in a different form than you're used to. So, in a way, that has changed media. I think the one thing, the danger, the thing that I actually worry about, is how we're training people to consume media. It's a 15-year medium, right? And you know, when you're 7 years old on the playground, right, you're taught how to interact, right? It's sort of your microcosm for social interaction, and you spend years learning how to interact with people, and they teach you how to consume media, and you know, you spend. The whole thing about fake news drives me crazy, because I seem to remember years of my life in a classroom where a teacher would make us read the newspaper every day, and we'd have to evaluate articles and figure out what's biased and what's not, right? That was important education. Because this medium is so new, we didn't really do a very good job at the beginning of putting that level of civics into media consumption. And when things are so ephemeral and so real time, you actually have to be a lot smarter at doing that. And I think what we're seeing now is that that's happening. You have groups like Common Sense Media, which are running digital citizenship curriculums around the country. And I think this conversation that we're having now and the fears we're having now about real-time and ephemeral media are going to be very different conversation 10 years from now, when we're going to have kids entering the workforce who have not only grown up with this media, but have also grown up with the media education. Miss?
Last question.
Oh, sorry.
Go for it. No,
Yeah, I was wondering if you've seen an increase in like echo chambers, because you said you worked with Twitter, and the ability just to block anyone you disagree with on Twitter or on Facebook. Is there like an increased worry about that, about being able just to kind of isolate yourself from everything you disagree with?
Yeah, I mean that's, I would argue that's a problem with all types of media. I mean, if all you watch is Fox News or MSNBC, you're self-imposing an echo chamber anyway, right? The things that really make echo chambers hyper problematic are the algorithmic delivery features, right? Facebook has a big echo chamber problem because of the way the algorithm pushes media to you, where it's about people you interact with, things that it tends to amplify the things that you are most interested in. Twitter is actually less of a problem because it's really still very much a real-time feed. But yes, you're correct, and this is also back to civics. You have a responsibility as a consumer of media to follow people you don't necessarily agree with, and understand that what your view of the world might not be the right one. And that's incumbent upon everyone from the moment they pick up any sort of media to turning on the TV. And I would argue that social media gives you more of an ability to see greater diverse points of views, but it's really about how you use it.
Thank you.